Some of the content covered may be graphic in nature. Viewer discretion is advised.
Witchcraft.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely it's really
Just, I love stories like this because it's
someone scared to death.
Yeah, that's a real thing. There are countless stories that you shouldn't fuck with.
Right, and the JFK assassination limo.
Real.
From the mistake on the lake, deep within the great American Rust Belt, I bid you all good evening, good morning, wherever you are, wherever you're listening. This is T3TV. I'm your host, John Wazinski, alongside Daniel Rady.
What's up?
The man with the plastic cups. And and Steve, a.k.a. Buddha Gibson. Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
All right. Well, enough with the pleasantries. We've already done that for like the last half hour. So I will say it was interesting this week. We're in one of those weeks in Northeast Ohio where it was 70 degrees on Monday and 25 on the drive home today. So that kind of sucked. So I'm looking forward to the weekend to where it'll be 65. It is April Fool's Day, of course, so Mother Nature did play a nice prank on us.
Hope no more snow.
It's supposed to be like in the 60s this weekend.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So the snow that I woke up this morning, it's snowing outside. My God, I didn't even anticipate that. And then of course, my wife had she had the door cracked a little bit, so it was like, it's really cold because it had been nice the last few days. So we had the window cracked a little bit. Didn't even realize that it got that cold that quick. So.
Yeah, when I left for the gym this morning, I couldn't even see. It was snowing so bad.
Yeah, it was snowing pretty hard. So, but Dan, fear not, your office is safe.
My drive was terrible.
Yeah, well, speaking of driving, Dan, we went out to eat. I think was it like
last Friday.
Last Friday, yeah, and Dan, he picked me up. And I said, well, my complex that I live in is all one way or all the way around it. So I would have thought that Dan would have driven around the complex because I texted him. I said, hey, you just picked me up in front of, my condo. And he's like, you can't walk all the way over here? So I was like, all right, yeah, he's got a point. So I open the garage and I close it. And all of a sudden, I start to see Dan backing up, and he clipped the curb, and he hit this twig. But like Dan claims to be like one of the best drivers ever, and I was like, well, there you have it, folks.
Yay.
Setting the bar low.
Hey, I am a good driver. I'm a stunt driver. But when you're backing up around a corner, trying to go 10 miles an hour and making a turn, John, like I said, I lost concentration if that was actually you or not. And I hit the curb. I felt like an idiot. And I think I scared the hell out of that guy and his kid that were walking right behind you, too, because they thought I was a nutcase.
Yeah. No, I felt bad, too, because I'm like, man, I asked him to, pick me up, and he wouldn't have clipped the curb, and I'd not asked him. But, there.
Dan, I don't think you can call yourself... I don't think you can call yourself a stunt driver just because you run into shit.
Yeah,
and the
I guess you got a point there.
Well, the stunts he performs, they only go forward.
Right. I'm a forward stunt driver.
Yeah. Backwards. Let me take a look at your resume here. It says you're a stunt driver. Okay, so forward only. So
I've driven a car and probably going about 40 miles whatever the transmission would let me. As far as the transmission would let it go, I've driven a car that fast in reverse, and I've scared the hell out of people. But I love driving fast in reverse because it's just. But trying to make a turn like that.
I'm going fast.
All right. Well, how about some headlines? So, okay. So you guys saw am I pronouncing this right? The Suez Canal? Swayze
Canal.
Just Patrick hanging out there. I saw an article here today from the Egypt Independent says that Is it Suez? Yeah, it's Suez, right? Sorry.
No, it's Suez. I'm pretty sure it's Suez Canal.
Suez. I'm sorry.
Just keep calling it Swayze.
Yes. So the Suez Canal. No. The Suez. I can't get through this. Canal Authority requests $1 billion in compensation from Ever Given owner. So, I guess they're the owner or the authority behind the canals saying that they want some reimbursement for that mistake. I don't understand how something like that hasn't happened before. I mean, with all the traffic that goes through there, like, I mean, I guess this was just the right conditions for that to happen. I don't know.
I don't know. I heard about that, but
yeah, I guess there was animals on this thing too. They were saying, and that there's not enough food for them to live to get through. There was only enough food for the journey, and obviously being held up a couple days, some animals that are on board this thing are not going to survive. So,
how do you die after only missing a couple days of food?
Again, I didn't go into that headline. Sorry. All right, so moving on. Barrier Reef. This is from let's see, the Sydney Morning Herald. Barrier Reef doomed as up to 99% of coral at risk. Report says the Great Barrier Reef is all but doomed, with between 70 and 99% of coral set for destruction unless immediate transformative action is taken to reverse global warming, according to a new report. The Australian Academy of Science says that more ambitious target of the Paris Climate Agreement of keeping global warming to 1.5 degrees has now slipped out of its reach and is virtually impossible. So, unless we change the climate, the Great Barrier Reef might be no more. All right, this one's out of Columbus here. It's called yourbasin.com. Columbus, Ohio, WCMH. Keep it light on April Fool's Day. So obviously today's April Fool's Day. They're just reminding you that leading up to April 1st, reminders on social media have popped up to be on the lookout for fake announcements from brands, as well as fake announcements that many find hurtful, triggering, or painful memories or current traumas. This includes fake breakups or divorce announcements, fake death announcements, illness scares, and saying you're pregnant or have miscarried when you have not. So,
who the fuck who would do that? Like, that is, yeah, children.
who would do what?
So,
well, any of that for one, but especially the last.
So this is from Fertility Answers Twitter official. Hurtful, a punch to the gut, sadness, grief, anger, frustration. Any of these feelings are normal if you see a fake pregnancy announcement on April Fool's Day. It says pregnancy is no joke. So for all out there, think twice before what you post. All right, this one's interesting. I don't know if you guys saw this. So the official U.S. Strategic Command, child unknowingly tweets from U.S. Nuclear Command's account. So this happened yesterday. It says this is from, let's see, DunionNews.tv, Washington. Some jokingly said the cryptic tweet was, quote, who's typing?
How can you possibly hear that?
I can hear you typing. Are you even listening?
I actually heard it.
Okay. Yeah, that was me.
Are you calculating the national deficit over there?
Yes.
All right. Anyway, so the cryptic tweet says semicolon L semicolon semicolon GMLXZSSAW tweeted from the U.S. Strategic Command. Was a nuclear launch code. Some others thought the Pentagon had been hacked, and some even thought it was a signal to political conspiracists. But what really happened was the command's Twitter manager, while in a telework status, momentarily left the command's Twitter account open and unattended. His very young child took advantage of the situation and started playing with keys on the end, and unfortunately, unknowingly posted the tweet. Stratcom official Kendall Cooper said in a letter posted online. So you see the quote here. Remember Covif, that or whatever that Trump tweeted? Covifi?
No.
Oh, well, it was like this. It was like KO or COVEFE or something, and everyone was making a big to do about it. Like, what does this mean? Well, here the strategic command who holds the nuclear holds the command to the nuclear weapons. It's tweeting from a child.
That would be something like 2021. You know, a 7-year-old causes nuclear disaster by a tweet.
Well, where it's such, we're basically being led by someone that passes maybe as a 7-year-old.
Hey,
But moving on.
all right, yeah. No, I'm yeah, we're going to move on. All right. So, another interesting one here. Arabian coins found in you know what, I didn't even cut over to my new thing, so I'm going to try to
Well, then fucking do it, pussy.
All right. So, Arabian coins found in the US may unlock 17th century pirate mystery. Here's a picture of these coin. It says, a handful of coins unearthed from pick your own fruit orchard in the U.S. state of Rhode Island and other random corners of New England may have solved a centuries-old case. The villain in this tale, a murderous English pirate who became the world's most wanted criminal after plundering a ship carrying Muslim pilgrims home from India to Mecca, then eluded capture by posing as a slave trader. Jim Bailey, an amateur historian and metal detectorist, found the first intact 17th century Arabian coin in the in Middletown. So, interesting find there out in Rhode Island. So, all right, let's see here. Oops, hit the wrong thing. Hey, undergoing technical difficulties.
Is that coin sitting in a spoon?
It is.
That spoon.
Oh,
looks
no.
Like it needs...
I think it's a pan or something that you would like sift through.
How
stuff.
big is that? How big is that thing? Like the size of a dime or a quarter? Or
I don't know.
I don't think there was really a standard. They just kind of hammered them out.
Yeah, that's true. So,
well, essentially it's done by weight, but back then they're just like, here it is, figure it out.
right.
Besides, if you're a pirate, you don't give a shit. You just grab the chest,
Yeah, that's true. I mean,
just like a teenage boy.
all right. So, woman discovers creepy light shining out of her hotel bathtub drain, but what is it? Over here, it's showing that someone says it could be a portal to hell. A hotel guest caused quite a spooky stir when she posted a pic of a creepy light shining from her room's bathtub drain. The eerie photograph was shared to Facebook group Things Found in Walls and Other Hidden Findings. Wednesday says Chevy, Shevi, read back with the caption, I'm in a hotel room and just noticed that the bath drain has a light coming from it. What could it be? Members of the group tried to explain the round drain emanating a fiery orange glow after it racked up 5,000 views in a single day. Others gave tongue-in-cheek responses. Someone saying that it's a portal to hell. And then someone says that's a pipe that leads to the mains water in hell. And so, I don't know. Again, that looks what?
I was gonna say, I mean, that does look. I don't know. I'd put my eye up to it and see what the hell I'd see. You know, what you would see through it, not just look at it from that angle. Like,
well, that or
what if the floor is missing or something?
That or like, why didn't you videotape it?
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
See, like, is there sound coming from it too? You know, I don't know.
I mean, you could
support. Go ahead, Buddha.
I don't know. I'm saying, like, one, you could just drop something down there that would light up, or two, if it's just like PVC, I mean, you can see light through PVC because that's how I check the drains make sure they're running. So if you have a light, like an access to the drain below, you can literally just hold a flashlight up to it, and that's what it would look like from the top side.
Gotcha.
Maybe a worker
Sorry to
dropped a
burst your
flashlight
bubble.
down there.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like I said, I don't. You know, either way, it's creepy. Like if you're in a hotel and there's a light coming from the bathroom, especially the drain. You know, who knows? I mean, somebody also could with fiber optics and the way you can weave wires and cameras and stuff. Now, who knows? Someone might be watching you while you take a shower or something.
Somebody's washing their butthole, sitting in there, and somebody's trying to get a peek.
All right.
Turn that cold water on and cool down that portal to hell, man.
There you go.
Dude, I mean, like, it's not that weird. You remember when they were, like, finding cameras in public restrooms and just, I mean...
I'm still finding that.
Yeah, I mean, they still are, but the weird thing about that is, like, nobody's going into a bathroom, like, doing cool shit. You know what I mean? You're, like, going in there and making a mess, and some guy's just at home punching the clown, watching that footage.
Oh. All right. Well, in other news from the Jerusalem Post, someone in Tel Aviv put a statue up of Benjamin Netanyahu relieving himself while curled in the corner in Habima Square in Tel Aviv. The artist is unknown and the municipality removed the statue, but there's basically an iron casted statue of Mr. Netanyahu going to the bathroom. So,
Alrighty then.
So, also in other strange news, worst case, burglar caught from overbite from German sausage.
What?
Yeah. So German police say that they have solved a 9-year-old burglary after DNA found on half an eaten piece of sausage matched that of a man detained in France over an unrelated crime. Police in the western town of Schwelm said Thursday that the sausage belonged to the victim, and the suspect, a 30-year-old Albanian citizen, appeared to have helped himself to a bite during the March 2012 break-in. It wasn't clear what type of sausage, known in Germany as wurst, the burglar had nibbled, though the police say it was a hard variety. So,
Wow.
A hard variety.
I guess. I don't know. I mean, but the fact that they were able to crack the case on a burglary based upon someone sampling leftover dinner. Interesting.
Surprised they took had the time or burglaries happen all the time. I didn't think they'd put that much resources into something like that. No one was killed, right?
Yeah. It also says Patron police said the suspect remains free, and in the worst case, he may escape punishment. The statute of limitations on the burglary has expired, meaning he will likely not be extradited to Germany. So,
It's been a slow day in the police department.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but you got to think it's kind of clever though. They're like, okay, well, let's just grab some, Well, why would they have decided to take a sample of DNA off the sausage?
Right.
Unless like the person that owned the place was like, I don't remember leaving this less sausage here. Like I may have taken a bite, but half of it's gone now. I don't know.
But I just think about like if something like that happened even here in the United States, would the police put if no one got murdered or raped or anything terrible like that, it was just a burglary, would they take DNA from a piece of sausage? Because I mean that's it costs money to do all that stuff and run those tests and lab tests and everything.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Well, all right. In other headlines, some Alaska Costco shoppers say that ravens are stealing their groceries. It's out of the Associated Press in Anchorage, Alaska. Some Alaskan Costco shoppers said that they have had their groceries stolen by ravens in the parking lot. Matt Llewellyn said that he was packing his groceries into his car in the parking lot in Anchorage Costco when ravens swooped in to steal a short rib from his cart. I literally took 10 steps away and turned around, and 2 ravens came down and instantly grabbed one out of the package, ripped it off, and flew off with it. And so they had pictures of the ravens hanging out in the parking lot there. So, pretty funny. All right. Last year, or 2 days ago, and I have some audio excerpt from this. March 30th, 1999. An infamous day in theme park history. I'll play the news clip here, and let me see if I can go over here. Okay.
The long-haired, muscular supermodel was in all his glory, surrounded by adoring fans and his harem of goddesses. It was a big moment for Busch Gardens, too. They were calling it modern-day Adonis versus the ancient-day sun god, the coaster, Apollo's chariot. But it ended up being Fabio against a wild bird. You're watching Fabio take the first plunge on Apollo's chariot, dropping 210 feet at 73 miles an hour. Seconds later, the model emerges with blood on his face, looking dazed and confused. He had just run face first into a goose that happened to be flying by. The minute park officials realized what happened, they began shooing away all the TV cameras and reporters.
What we had was a bird that came at the bottom of the lift or half.
So, yeah, 1999. So 21 years ago. Or no, what? Yeah, is that 20?
22.
22. Yeah,
22,
sorry,
yep.
I can't do math right now. I'm on my.
Didn't it end up breaking his nose?
Yeah, look at so so I got
I
the
remember
picture
that.
in the channel here, but yeah, you can see. Look at the
Dude, his blood's all over that chick.
yeah. Look at the woman behind him. Like she's just got his blood.
She's probably
all
enjoying
over.
that.
And he looks friggin' pissed. Like poor.
You just ruined my denim.
Down and caught Fabio in the on the side of the nose. So everything's fine. We're going to start the ride back up, but it was an act of nature.
Fabio was taken to a local hospital and left.
My question is, out of all the people that you could have picked to do the promotion for your ride, they had to use Fabio.
Dude, he was hot shit back then.
I wonder what happened to the goose. Did he live? You know? Did he
Messed
go
up
into the,
poor Fabio's hair too, man.
Did he go into the ocean with Tom Cruise?
With a nose that guy's got a big ass nose. He probably punctured the hell out of that poor thing.
I tried to make a Top Gun joke there. It didn't work out though.
Yeah, I caught it.
It was pretty flat. All right, and last thing I got tonight is a picture of a deer with spiderweb between his antlers goes viral. Have you guys seen this picture yet?
No.
All right.
Nope.
So, but yeah, there's a picture of a deer here, and it's got like a massive amount of like spider web between its two antlers, and it's pulling up here, so you'll see it here come up in the feed in a minute. But my question is like, how long did the spider have to live in between its horns to
Deers
see,
don't have horns, bro.
or antler? I'm sorry. Well, you know what I'm saying. Get out of here,
Fucking deer horns.
deer horns. But yeah,
Whoa.
so
Wow.
I mean, how long did the spider have to be in between there to create all that? So,
Are you judging their relationship?
all right. You know, I thought you would have been into some of these tonight, but I guess not. So,
Dude, they're creating... I don't know what they're creating, but it's going to be spectacular.
just picture that. Yeah, there's another
How
one
do,
there.
we don't even know that any spiders even live that long. How the hell would they? I guess some bugs could have flown
Wait,
through that.
did
I
you
guess
just say we don't even know if spiders live that long?
No, lived how long they lived inside that web is
Oh,
what I meant.
it looks like there's two still on there, 2 or 3 on there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here, there's another close up here. Let me pull it in here. Give me 1 second. Let's see.
If I was that deer, I'd be pissed.
Yeah, I mean, well, I don't know. Yeah, moving on. Anyway, that's all I got for tonight. Dan, what do you got?
Oh. Well, my story is actually rather amusing, and it's actually related to April Fools. Have either one of you heard about the whole Volkswagen saga that just happened?
Negative.
Nope.
No? Okay. So Monday, Volkswagen let out, basically a press release came through that, of course, the media got their hands on. And it was a half, it wasn't completed, but it was a press release that came through saying that Volkswagen was going to be changing their name to Volkswagen, like a volt, short for voltage, Volkswagen. Well, the way this was done, the way this press release was done, it looked very real. Now, again, April Fool's was still a few days away, so there was some people thinking, well, maybe it's an April Fool's joke, but it was still a few days away from April Fool's. Volkswagen had a very professional press release. Next day, they actually confirmed it. They confirmed that in America, they were going to be changing their name to Volkswagen of America. They're going to keep the corporate name Volkswagen, the original name, but they were going to change the name here in America. This didn't really raise too many eyes because of the fact that Volkswagen, just like all these other companies, are committing, I think they're committing committed $81 billion to electric cars by the end of the decade. So they only have one electric car right now, but it kind of somewhat made sense that they were going to be changing their name. But the media got a hold of this at this point when it came out that Volkswagen said, yes, this is being confirmed. They actually went as far as their website. This wasn't just a little dinky tweet that came out, where people would think it was just a joke. They went on their website. They changed the website to Volkswagen of America. They even went on to say how the cars were going to be labeled. The old combustion engines would be labeled with the blue label, or the blue logo rather, and then the newer ones would have a certain silver logo. I might have those mixed up, but something along those lines. They made it very, very realistic, way too far for what an April Fool's joke should go. Where this gets even worse, you say, a lot of people say, well, it was just an April Fool's joke. A lot of companies screw around like this and make these jokes. Okay. Well, it fooled not only the media, but it fooled investors, and it fooled all the analysts out there. They thought this was real because the media said, hey, it's real. It looks so, everything looks in order that this is what they're going to be doing, making the change. So then, I believe it was Wednesday or Thursday, yesterday, Volkswagen had to come out and say, no, this is not true. We're not changing our name. Our name is going to stay Volkswagen. This was just nothing more than a kind of an early April Fool's joke that got way out of hand. Well, the damage control is starting now because, I don't know, Buddha, I think you kind of mess around with the stock. Anyone that messes around with the stock market, that has half a brain in their head, that does trading and that knows that the stock market runs on rumor and innuendos, okay? Well, when the rumor came out, and it came out this was not just a rumor, that they were changing their name, investors and analysts got fooled. So they started advising the analysts advised their clients on what to do, on to buy or dump or whatever you're going to do with this. This is a big thing to say that the company is going to change its name, toward being electric cars, Volkswagen. So what happened now though with this whole thing is that there's going to be litigation. This Volkswagen is the end result of this story is they are going to probably face a lot of heat for this, because another thing that anyone that knows a little bit about the stocks know, you cannot mislead. A corporation cannot mislead or mislead investors. And the Securities Exchange Commission is getting involved, the SEC. They're getting involved in this now to see if, was it just a harmless April Fool's joke that they just wanted to have a little fun with?
My thought was, did they do this to test the waters, and then it got such a bad, reaction that they're like, oh well, April Fool's, just kidding,
Right. Well, that's a possibility, but the thing is, what the SEC is going to look at is, was this done to manipulate stocks? If they find out that this was done somehow, if they get any kind of evidence to show that this was done to manipulate the stock market, I'm going to tell you right now, they'll face $100 million in fines.
Yeah, but they can't just keep going back to this now.
No, they won't. No, they're not
keep going back to
in
what?
trouble.
Well, the fact that anytime anyone does anything now, they're going to be accused of, trying to manipulate the stock market. This is just another thing that somebody can divert back to or blame a company for something, to try to get them in trouble or hot water.
Well, the problem is though. Go ahead, Buddha.
I was going to say the fucking, what's so dumb about, oh, you're going to get hit with fines, literally paying a fine does not benefit at all, because not only it's not like they're going to pay enough fines or they're going to go, oh man, we might lose this business. Maybe we should change our shit around. No, they're going to pay this fucking fine. It's going to be a slap on the wrist. Some government organization is going to pocket that money, and it doesn't benefit anybody. So anybody that was like, holy shit, I lost, maybe they realize I didn't see that this happened. Had I known this happened, I would have bought fucking stock. But, had people seen it, oh my God, this is diving, I got to sell off, and then people lose money. It's not like by paying fine, those people are going to be, compensated for what they lost. So, okay, they pay a fine, big fucking deal. It goes into the pocket of some government organization. The people are still out the money. The company got a slap on the wrist, and the government is now richer. Like, that's why fines are a fucking joke.
Well, right, but the bottom line is that, well, first off, if you would have bought stock when you heard this, you would have been out a lot of money because their stock fell 4% today. I think it was today, 4% their stock fell on the news of this. If you would have bought Volkswagen stock.
That's the point. If it fell, buy it when it falls, and then it's going to go back up. Oh, when it falls,
right. I thought you meant when you heard the news, you would have bought it.
No, I would have bought it as it dove. I would have bought it because I would have been like, hey, it's April Fool's.
Right. That's the whole thing, though. But what about the people that, and like you said, they're not going to get anything out. The people that invested in it, their analysts said, look, we think this is something good. You should add to your portfolio of stock. The company's going all out with the electric. They're changing their name. I think you should buy 60,000 shares of Volkswagen. And then all of a sudden, the whole thing turns out to be a joke. This is where it's putting them in hot water. Now, I understand what you're saying. The fine means nothing. The fine is for a company like Volkswagen, who's worth billions and billions and billions of dollars. $100 million is nothing to them. If that's what, I don't know what it would be. I'm not, I don't have, you got to understand too, a Volkswagen, this is a big slap though, because they're still trying to get out of Dieselgate. I don't know if either of you remember what Dieselgate was.
Yeah, they made an episode of Dirty Money on it.
Okay. Volkswagen's reputation took a hard ass hit by that. So this is not helping. This is not going to help. But the bottom line is it's a fine, but it is there to protect the investors, Buddha. I don't agree with you on what you're saying. The Securities Exchange.
For those who don't know what Dieselgate is, just go over it real briefly.
Dieselgate it happened in around 2015. Basically, Volkswagen was putting a chip in that was giving out false readings of gas mileage, and I believe it was, I'm trying to refresh my memory.
It had to do with the emissions.
It had to do with the emissions, yeah. Something they modified a chip, and and I think it had to do with the diesel cars, and it affected millions and millions of Audis and Volkswagens, and Volkswagen got hit with huge amount of fines for that too. And I don't know if that was that.
Didn't it say that they were getting better gas mileage than they actually were?
That was part of it, and it also had to do with the emissions. Though they were saying the car wasn't putting out as bad as emissions as it was, and I believe it affected the diesel cars. That's why it's called Dieselgate.
Yep.
Yeah, and there's a lot more to it. That's just a quick.
There was a massive recall on all the cars as well.
Oh yeah, massive recall. They fired the CEO. They got rid of quite a few people on the board of directors. Yeah, they took up, their reputation took a huge hit. And that's one of the reasons Volkswagen is trying to immediately jump into the all electric, arena, because they're trying to put Dieselgate behind them, because that's still fresh in a lot of people's minds.
Yeah, wasn't it like around 2011, 2012, something like that?
Well, no, it hit 2015. That's when it actually
even later.
Hit the fan.
Yeah, okay, later than I thought.
But you're right, it affected cars going back, I think, like to 2006.
Wow, that far?
I believe so. It affected cars. It might not be 2006, but it affected cars for quite a few years before that. So
gotcha.
That's why millions and millions and millions of cars had to be recalled.
Right. So anyway.
Well, but what I was saying, getting back to what Buddha said, I understand what you're saying, but a company, a big global corporation is not supposed to, it's one thing making a small joke or making a quick little tweet or something that's like IHOP did a couple years ago, but then instantly coming back and saying, hey, April Fools, or giving you a little hint that it's just an April Fool's joke. Volkswagen went way, way, way too far on this joke. And just for the average people like us, we just laugh it off. But the investors that did invest a lot of money in that, they shouldn't have been misled. And that's what they might not have been misled. It could have been just April Fool's, just what they said, an April Fool's joke. And that's what the Securities Exchange Commission is there for. They're there to protect the investors, So I don't agree. Yeah, I mean, I agree. Yeah, it's a big giant fine that goes into a government organization, but they're also there to help protect investors from bullshit like that from companies.
No, they're there to protect corporate and fucking hedge funds. They don't give a shit about private investors. The security commissions, no, it's a fucking joke. Like it's the same thing with everything that just happened with GameStop. I mean, you literally have them pushing to prosecute people from fucking GameStop, equating it to insurrection at the Capitol because the little guy finally got the leg up on the fucking hedge funds, and they lost like $70 billion in like the first wave of that GameStop stuff. And what happens? Something that hedge funds do all the time, which is how they make their money. The little guy caught on and did that, and they went after the little guy. They don't give a fuck about the private small investors. They only give a fuck about the big corporate people with big investments, the hedge funds, shit like that. So I have to disagree with you completely, because security does not give a fuck about the people that are investing.
Well, and that's, I see what you're saying. I mean, you're right. The little people that are, the average amateur, or I don't want to say amateur is not the right word, but the people that aren't investing, like Warren Buffett, for example. Yeah, like you said, the little people they don't care about. But the bottom line is, regardless, and maybe you're right on that, maybe you're not, I don't know, but I still don't think Volkswagen should have did that. If they find out that it was, I mean, here's the bottom line. If they find out somewhere there was evidence that came out that Volkswagen did do this to manipulate the stock market, are you both, or either one of you, saying that no, nothing should happen? That should be okay?
No, not at all. I'm definitely not saying that. I'm just saying nothing will happen, and fining the company doesn't help the people that lost money. It only puts money in the fucking government's pocket. Yeah, no, and you're right. You're right about that. The fine, I mean, yeah, I'm sure the money is obviously going back into the government. That's exactly where it's going, because that's where it's going to go. It's not going to go into our pockets. But regardless, that is what. Oh, go ahead. The only thing they could do is file a class action lawsuit. But at the same time, like,
yeah, how long is that going to take?
Exactly, forever. And then what are you going to get? Everyone involved gets $75, like most class action lawsuits.
And you're going against a superpower like Volkswagen, who has the most high-powered attorneys around.
Yeah,
so,
and then they just go, all right, we have settled. So for the 100,000 investors that are here, you will all be given a $25 check and a Costco gift card, and that's what we settled on.
Right, yeah.
Or a gift card to Applebee's or something.
Yeah. Here's an AMC Theater gift card because they're going out of business.
Dude, like, I mean, I know this is old news or not, but it's amazing that nobody really ever thought to do the GameStop thing. And, like, what a way, like, it's such, like, an internet subculture thing to do, to just basically, I mean, everybody knows if you're under the age of 40, like, you already, like, have a dislike for GameStop. I mean, think about, like, all the times that you've gone to GameStop to buy a used game or trade in something to try to get some money at, and, like, they give you like $5 for something and then turn around and sell it for 30. Like, what a way to, like, not only kind of give the middle finger to them, but also all those people on a corporate level who make a lot of money, and a lot more money than the people that work those jobs and work in those stores, and basically just polish a turd in a way that can't easily be, like, reversed. Dude,
the shit that always killed me about GameStop was, I remember, I don't know, it was like years ago when at the time it was the new Final Fantasy came out, and I bought it and I was like, oh my God, this is terrible. Like, absolutely fucking terrible. So I took it back like a week or two later, and they gave me $27 for it.
Well,
but then when they sell used, they're $5 below the cost of new. So not only did they make their commission, which is very small, but they make their cut on the new, and then they make double that on the used.
Well, the other thing with the used games was, and a lot of people were able to beat them, was all used games you could return within 7 days and get a full refund. So if you had the ability to copy a game, you could go home and copy it and then take it back there and get your money back. You know, there was whole people on YouTube talking about that.
Yeah, but there's not enough people doing that. The
reason
general population. Sorry, Dan, go ahead.
All right, no, that's right. I just say the only reason, I mean, GameStop was, and nobody was paying attention. Well, not many people. I mean, the company was on the brink of death just last summer. I mean, I think their stock was like $5 a share or something like that.
Yeah, it was even less than that.
Well, than that. They were also not receiving product, and I read in some cases that the stores weren't even getting shipments anymore because they were so backed up on their payments.
Yeah, they closed a bunch of stores, and then that deal with Microsoft on the new Xbox is what I believe it was on the new Xbox. There was some kind of deal with Microsoft that all of a sudden, helped, it boosted their stock up, and then, it didn't nowhere near to what it went when that whole fiasco happened before. But still, if it wasn't for Microsoft, I wonder if GameStop just would have went under. I mean, they were going through CEOs like crazy, and but like that stock maybe it was like $3 a share or something like that.
Yeah, there's a great channel on YouTube called Company Man. I don't know if he's still around or not, but he posts all kinds of videos and about the rise and fall of companies and just their backstory and where they're at currently and mistakes they made along the way. And it was interesting, the ones that he's done. I think GameStop falls into that category. I think he did one on them.
If I'm not mistaken, I think the CEO from Chewy is either now on the board of GameStop or is taken over.
You're right. Yep, I think you're right. He's on the board. I think I don't think he's the CEO, but he's on the board, and so is the guy from Nintendo.
Well, I mean,
the president.
Nintendo really, they're just focusing on making chips, I believe. I don't think they really give a shit about consoles. That's not their bread and butter.
Not anymore, at least.
Yeah. Right. It hasn't been since the 80s, let's be honest.
Yeah. No.
Well, Nintendo 64 wasn't bad.
Yeah,
the Switch is selling like crazy. Are you kidding me?
Well, yeah, but
Switches
I mean,
on the shelf.
Yeah, but that's not like, I don't know. Like, it's not like a home console like a Nintendo was. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like Switch is really geared more towards like little kids. Or more like youth entertainment. It's not like a PlayStation or an Xbox where they're getting balls deep in like RPG action adventure type stuff.
True. Yeah, and the big selling point on the Switch was obviously the fact that you can play it at home, plug in the TV, and then just take it on the road with you and where you left off. That's the big selling point.
Isn't that what the Vita was? The PlayStation Vita. I thought that you could, or was that where you could just play? Like I don't think you could take it with you because I think it's still linked to your system, but you didn't have to be sitting in front of your TV. I could be totally way off.
This is worldwide, I believe. I'm looking here at Wikipedia. Best-selling game consoles of all time. Obviously, PlayStation 2, 155 million units sold. Not far behind it, Nintendo DS Family, 154.02 million. Game Boy Color, 118. PlayStation 4, 114. PlayStation 102. PlayStation 3 had less, 87.4. Nintendo 64 was 17th on the list, or let's see. They don't have the number next to it, but like, I'm surprised. Like, Nintendo Entertainment System, I don't even know if it's on here.
I'm actually kind of shocked that the number one was only 150 million.
155 million, yep.
That's not very many when you factor in how many people are in the world.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Nintendo Entertainment System, 61.91 million. So you mean to tell me worldwide that there's almost 3 times the amount of PlayStation 2s versus Nintendo Entertainment? I'm shocked by that.
Well, video gaming's hell of a lot more now than it was back then. I think probably is the biggest. Because think about it, back in those days.
But PlayStation 2 also integrated the DVD player, which I think was a big selling point as well.
Yeah, because I was gonna say back in the days, like Atari, Nintendo, Sega, that was mostly like you were just saying, Buddha, geared toward kids. Kids were, I mean, mostly younger people were buying those systems. And there were some older people, but now it's like you've got in the last 20 years with PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2, so many more age groups. It's not just geared toward young people, more older people are buying video game systems too. Not like old people, but
Well, the big thing
whereas I
is all
think
the people
systems-
that grew up with like Nintendo and Sega, they're older and they have money now, so that's why they
Right.
can buy all those consoles, and they're interested from childhood.
Right.
Actually, PlayStation Portable, is also rated higher than the NES, which I'm just again shocked. But
How about the Super Nintendo? I mean, I thought everybody had a Super Nintendo. Where's that on the
I
list?
didn't.
You didn't have one?
I had a Sega.
and
See, I was the Nintendo party.
PlayStation 5 is bottom of the list with 5 units sold because they're all sold to bots.
Yeah, you can't actually buy them.
That's right. No, it was far down the list at 4.5. The worst or the lowest one on the list is the Atari 5200 at 1 million.
That's still, I mean,
That's when Sorry started dying, though. But that's actually sounds like a really low number for even Atari.
Yeah.
yeah, but look at the era, you know.
Yeah, right. That's the whole video game crash started and everything, and that was the mid '80s. So
Yeah. All right. So Volkswagen in trouble.
So the bottom line is they could be in trouble. They might not be. The whole thing might pass over, but there's an investigation, and there's a lot of people pissed. But bottom line, Volkswagen is still going to be Volkswagen, and that's where it ends. So I thought it was amusing just watching the whole thing, and it just shows how the media even took control of this, and not took control of it, but the media even got fooled. Everybody got fooled by this because they made it they made it look so good. So yeah, that's the Volkswagen story.
Yeah. Buddha, what you got?
Hang on. Are they actually marketing towards electric vehicles though?
Yes, they like I just said, they committed $81 billion by the end of this decade to have basically a full fleet of electric cars, just like General Motors is doing. Right now, I think they only have one electric car right this moment, but Audi, Bentley, obviously Volkswagen, all these cars that are under the Volkswagen group, under the umbrella of Volkswagen, by the end of this decade, they're all going to be electric. And Volkswagen's been very, very vocal about this, again, to try to get away from that whole Dieselgate scandal that happened, a few years back. So they are definitely talking about electric cars, and it's going to happen. So, but this, like John, like you said, I mean, this could have just been to see how it would go, if it was something that would catch on or not. But
Yeah. I'm wondering
that answer your question, Buddha?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
I'm just wondering if the marketing department went and had legal read that before they posted it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, you would think a huge global corporation like this, I mean, they can make stupid mistakes, but like you just said, you would think they would be like, okay, what issues could we have by doing this? And you think they would have thought of this. I mean, but I guess the problem is they made it so I remember, was it a couple years ago, IHOP changed their name for a day and people thought like crazy. Yes. You remember that?
International House of Burgers.
Yes. So it's not unusual for a company to screw around like this, but I guess, like they said, kind of Volkswagen went so far and in so much detail of it by showing a press release and then basically confirming that it was not an April Fool's joke and that it was really happening, and then backtracking and saying, well, no, it was an April Fool's joke. It's not happening. That's craziness right there.
Yeah. All right, Buddha, what do you got tonight?
All right. So, have you ever heard of the Eileen Moore lighthouse disappearance?
Negative.
All right. I have not.
So, the Eileen Moore lighthouse is a lighthouse that's off of one of the Scottish islands, and just, I guess the long and short of it is basically this took place in like 1900 in December. So there's a ship that happens to be, just going past this lighthouse, and they kind of notice that, okay, the light is out. It's kind of weird. Normally they would be signaling for them to come in, just to show them the break wall and basically do what a lighthouse does. So the ship notices that there's not really, there's nothing there. So they pull off and get off of at like the landing platform to go check it out, since that there's no lighting or anything in there. And they go inside and they're like, man, there's like nobody here. This place is totally abandoned. So they find that rather odd, and the fact that they go in there and it looks like someone had still been there, but they basically just up and left and they're gone. So they make a report to, I guess it would be like the harbor master or whoever's actually in charge of all that. And when they come to investigate it, there was 3 dudes that actually ran the lighthouse, and the guy that was on his way to investigate this lighthouse is actually like, he knew all 3 of them. So he pulls up to the landing pad, climbs up there, and when he goes inside to investigate everything, he sees that like there's still a meal that's left out, 2 of the oilskin coats, which is like, it's December, like the kind of jacket that you would take outside. 2 of them are gone, but one of them is still hanging up. He finds like a chair turned over, almost like someone had gotten up, like in an instant, like if something happened. And sorry, like I said, they found like a jar of pickles and other stuff out there. But basically, so when he walks in, he sees all this stuff as if like someone had gotten up in a hurry, but there's no trace of anybody around, and they hadn't gotten word of anything, of anybody leaving. And the part that was weird about it was they had talked to other people that had passed within the prior week, and they said when they had gone past the lighthouse, like the light was on, everything seemed normal. And then, this next ship that comes past realizes that, it's the lights off, and then that's why they went and notified, and that's why that guy's there now. So anyway, so they end up finding this dude. They end up finding like his like a logbook, and in this logbook, it's kind of documenting the last couple days that they had anticipated them, or the last couple of days that they thought they had been there. And it says December 12th, the keeper, which his name was Thomas Marshall, says in the logbook, severe winds, the likes of which I have never seen before in 20 years. So he's basically saying there was this crazy storm, it's, you get it, it's a crazy storm. So he added that one of the other guys with him, James Ducat, had been very quiet, and William MacArthur, who was otherwise known as like an experienced mariner, just kind of the all-around badass, he's just been sitting around crying. And they find that really odd, because this dude is like the guy that's just very stoic. So then it goes, log entry December 13, the storm is still raging, and all 3 men had been praying. And then it says, it remains unclear why the keepers would have been fearful from the relative safety of the newly built lighthouse. The final log entry is December 15th, and it says, storm ended, sea calm, God is over all. And then they ended up finding like ropes strewn across the rocks of the landing platform, and they said they may have had crates that had come loose in the storm. So one of the theories was that the guys had actually gone out after these crates busted loose, and they thought that it was a calm patch in the storm. So once the crates busted loose, they had gone down there to tie everything back up, and then the storm started back up, and a rogue wave could have just hit them and washed them away. The other theory was that, one of the guys actually murdered the other 2 and then just left. But the part that makes the whole story kind of weird is in the logbook, since it kept referencing how crazy this storm was, and it's something they'd never seen, and like the guys are just praying and crying, when they actually looked at the weather reports for those days and talked to some of the locals, there there was no storm. So the 3 days that the stuff on the log where they're talking about how crazy it is, like I said, in the law or in the weather reports, no storm. They talk to the locals that live around there, no storm. So then this whole mystery is kind of like, what happened? What was going on in this area? Was it potentially like a pocket where there was just, I don't know, like a touchdown tornado or hurricane that was localized around here? Was it more of like a disappearance that was just kind of staged? Did they make up this stuff about it being a storm written in the book, and then like one of the guys potentially did just kill the other two and then kill himself? One of the other theories was that they were abducted by pirates or abducted by aliens. There's just kind of like a lot of mystery along with this because it was investigated. They never found any trace of any of the guys. And this has been an ongoing thing, like I said, since 1900. And just one of the weird things about it is the fact that there never was a storm, but you can essentially hear like how terrified these dudes were just from reading the logbook. So, but they never found any evidence of the dudes or if they were swept away, if any bodies came back ashore. Like, it's just kind of, why did one of the guys leave without his jacket in the middle of December in Scotland?
Right.
There's just kind of a lot of unanswered questions, and there's not like a ton of detail to add to the story, but it's basically, this log of things that happened. Clearly it looked like they just up and went out, in an instant, or potentially a emergency, and they're just gone, but there's no actual answers, and especially with it being so old, it's not like they could really investigate as well as they can now. But yeah.
How far was this away from civilization?
I don't know. It just says it's on one of the Scottish Isles, so I'm not really sure.
So is this lighthouse just kind of like, it potentially could be like a
well, actually,
like
I'm
a
looking
midpoint?
I'm looking at a map right now, and it shows it. So when they say it's off of one of the isles, it's not even on the map. Or it's on the map, but it's not even on land on the map. It's essentially plotted right in the middle of the water.
So
is that like still there?
If these pictures are recent, then yeah. Yeah, it's actually, if you look at the pictures, it's a tiny little island.
Let me see. What's the island called?
What's the name of it again? The island?
It's
or the case.
Eilean Moor, EILEANMOR. I'm assuming that's how you say it.
Okay, yep, I see that there. Yeah. Lighthouse
But
keepers.
It says, search party climbed 160 steps up to the cliffside and just found the door ajar, an untouched meal, a toppled chair, and then locals suggested one of the guys murdered the other two and then just, threw himself into the sea. Then, of course, the crazy comes out. Tales emerged the men had been snatched by a sea serpent or taken away by a passing haunted ship. Yeah, I mean, of course, there's always that. There's always aliens. Anything unexplainable is always aliens.
Right.
But the part that's kind of crazy is because it's an island, where can you go?
Right.
Like they never found like a life raft, or I don't see, like, it didn't go into detail about how they would actually get there. Like, do you have to take a ferry there? Is it, like, do they just have their own boat or ship, whatever the correct terminology is, to go there back and forth? Like, is there anything else actually on this island other than the lighthouse? Like, if I'm looking at the picture, it looks like they essentially encompass the entire island in one picture. And it doesn't really look like it's inhabited.
Yeah,
that's weird. But the entries and the entries are what's really weird. Like you said about the storm, why would they say there was a storm if there wasn't a storm? Or like you said, if it was just a real quick pocket of air, a cell that just went over that particular area. But even then, why would how many were there again? Three,
yeah.
I mean, you'd think that somebody would be left over.
Yeah, like why would two of them go out and then the last one not grab his coat? like I said, December in Scotland, yeah, it ain't warm. And they had also mentioned that, like, if you look in some of the pictures, you can see like the I guess what you would call like the stairs, like the walkway area. They said the railings were like real rusted and just disheveled, you know, kind of broken apart. And it makes you wonder, like, what if there was just a strong gust of wind, knocked somebody off, you know, knocked them off balance, and then they went through or over the railing. But then the big thing was, why didn't the bodies, you know, get washed ashore anywhere? Like you said, I don't know like how far mileage wise. I also don't even know like what type of predators would be in the water had they fallen in. You know, would you fall in, go into shock, get hypothermia? Like, there's so many different things that could happen.
Oh, the sweet Lord of the Loch.
Yeah, Nessie.
Yeah.
Could be out there.
Yeah, right.
Well, not only that, but it looks like it would be a pretty high fall. If they fell in that water, they'd probably be dead instantly.
It's almost like if you fell, I don't think that there's really a straight drop to the water.
No.
You know, you'd be bouncing.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
You'd be like a slinky off them rocks.
I don't know if you guys looking at the photos I am. You see that little hut, like stone hut in front of it?
Yeah.
What is that, I wonder? It's got like a little, almost like a little doorway in front of it.
It's where Willow lives.
I don't know. Maybe they had horses or storage. I don't know.
Well, that's too small for horses.
You remember that movie with Val Kilmer, Willow?
Was Val Kilmer in that?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah.
Dude, every time I talk about that movie, I always get confused who played the main character.
Yeah.
And I always think it's I always think it was the dude from Elf. But it's not. Clearly it's not. It's
the dude
from Leprechaun, isn't it?
Well, Harry Potter too. He played one of the professors in Harry Potter, I think.
Oh, I don't know.
But yeah,
I don't think I ever saw.
Val Kilmer was in it as well. He had a sweet little braid on the on his right side.
Nice.
So Val Kilmer. I'd probably say the worst Batman. Well, no, George Clooney for sure.
I don't, dude.
George Clooney was a Batman?
Yeah, Batman and Robin.
Yeah. The sequel.
Are you kidding me? I didn't know that.
Sequel to Val Kilmer's Batman. Yeah.
Interesting.
I really hated Christian Bale.
Are you serious?
I just don't like him. He's fucking terrible.
What?
Yeah,
I'm
he's
shocked.
terrible.
Keaton's still the best.
No, I'm gonna have to go with Bale on this one.
Yeah, I like Keaton. I love Michael Keaton in it because I saw that when I was a little kid. So, but I have to go with that one.
Jack Nicholson or Heath Ledger?
Nicholson all day.
Ledger. I mean, I like Nicholson, but if I'm watching a Jack Nicholson movie, I'm watching Cuckoo's Nest.
I think you got to take into consideration the times. Though,
right. I was just going to say that.
I mean, even the soundtrack with like Prince, you know.
I actually watched. Was the original Batman with Jack Nicholson, right?
Yep,
What was the second one? Who was
Returns.
it? Catwoman.
Yeah, Penguin and Catwoman.
That's right. Okay, yeah. I watched the original Batman. I don't know, a couple months ago. It still holds up. It's actually still pretty okay.
I'm going to tell you, a lot of the movies between like 83 and 90, a lot of them just still hold up today. Like you can't, they don't make movies practically like that anymore, where things were done in the camera versus on the computer, you know? And
yeah, dude, Jurassic Park.
Oh God. Well, Jurassic Park was the first movie to kind of blend the two together in such a way where originally, and I have the Blu-ray where they talk about this. Originally, they were going to do a lot of the dinosaurs in stop motion, and they decided right as the production was beginning, or sometime between like beginning middle of production, that they decided that they're going to go with the digital route. Well, what they did was they created scans of the dinosaurs from the models, and then they were able to blend that with the live action big ones. And I mean, to this day, the T-Rex coming out of the The Paddock is probably one of the most incredible special effects to this day. I would say that and the Liquid Terminator are like kind of what changed the world as far as, you know, movies go.
That was James Cameron, right?
Yes. But the technology that they used for the Liquid Terminator, they developed for when he did The Abyss. And the guy like made out of water. It's the same effect, but they use it a lot more in Terminator. But yeah, I mean, those movies from the late, you know, like I said, from about 83 all the way to like 91, there's just so many movies that to this day just hold up the quality of story, quality of visual storytelling. Like everything was done in the camera. Like you can't go wrong with practical effects. And I just, you know, I'm on the fence about watching this King Kong versus Godzilla because it's so much computer graphics. Like you watch the credits, you know, after the like a Marvel movie, and it's just miles and miles of digital artists.
The other thing about the 80s too is like the movies, most of the movies in the 80s, some of them were kind of dumb, but you know, when you watch an 80s movie, I don't care what it is, you know, it's a horror movie or, you know, action, whatever, there's just a you don't feel depressed when you're done watching the movie. I don't even care if it's a bad movie, like a depressing movie. You don't feel depressed because, like you said, there was an aura about those movies back then that, like you said, I agree, disappeared in the 90s pretty much. I would agree with that era too, about 82, 83 to probably around 92, I think, is when it kind of started changing.
I would say like, I would draw the line at like 95, 96, like Independence Day, Forrest Gump. I mean, you got to think like, look how much CGI is in Forrest Gump, but the way Zemeckis did it was just, he did it so in such a clever way that it was, you know, it was hard for you to tell what was real and what was fake. I mean, going back and watching it now, it's a lot more apparent, but
right.
Yeah, I would say like between 83 and 96 are like, to me, you know, my generation's like golden age of cinema, you know.
To touch on the Forrest Gump thing, actually, did you know the scene in that movie when he's in Vietnam and he's like saving all the dudes and he gets shot? Did you know that's based on an actual event?
No, I did not.
Dude,
I did not know that.
It is freaking nuts what this dude did. And he ended up getting medals and stuff like that. But basically, he was in Vietnam, and I don't remember his name, but there's a video of him receiving the medal. He was in Vietnam, and he had already like been blown up, and they said like, you're never gonna walk again, blah blah blah. So he goes ahead and he just defies all odds and comes back and he says, I want to join. And I don't remember if it was the Green Berets or whatever spec ops stuff. So he joins after he recovers. They let him join, goes back to war. And then he's like at base and there's like radio coming in that their dudes, you know, they're in the jungle, they're surrounded, and the helicopter come and lands and he's like, hey, you know, we got to get some dudes out there. And everyone's like, you can't, you're going to, you know, it's just freaking nuts. There's no way you're not going to go. So he's like, finds a pilot that's like, will you take me there? And so he ends up jumping in there with him and they go. The pilot,
his name is Sammy Lee Davis. I'm looking it up here now.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Well,
Yep.
So basically like everything you've seen in Forrest Gump, not verbatim, but that's essentially what happens. Like he gets dropped off, the helicopter kind of hovers around, and he ends up like bringing all of as many as he can of these dudes back to like a safer area. And I think he throws, I don't remember if it's a smoke grenade or whatever it is, but he signals the helicopter. And then I think the helicopter comes back and he ends up carrying a bunch of dudes and puts them on the helicopter. And it's getting ready to take off, and then it gets shot back down, and it like crashes, and he ends up taking these dudes that were in the helicopter that survived, pulling them back out and dragging them over to another area that's like kind of safe, and is just kind of like mowing people down, like kills as many as he can. He's like getting shot while all this stuff is happening, and inevitably ends up getting rescued. And I don't remember how many guys he ended up rescuing because obviously there was just a lot of shit to happen for one guy, and he had like multiple bullet wounds and all this other crazy shit. But yeah, that's the loose. I didn't have time to read it for anyone that's interested in it. That's essentially based on something that really happened.
It also says that they did share a similar injury, both shot in the buttocks.
There you go. But yeah, that's nuts, man.
And he was awarded the Medal
That
of
is
Honor by
interesting.
LBJ a year later.
And he's like Filipino or something, I think. If
Right.
that's the, what's that?
No, you're right.
Okay, yeah, I know that. I was on like this kick of listening to like a bunch of crazy war stories for a little bit, and that was one of them that popped up.
Yeah.
And when I saw him, I was like, that is not what I expected. Like, you expect just some badass, like jacked fucking just animal. And you're like, he looks like a normal dude. He's just got, his balls are so fucking big, they drag the ground when he walks, you know?
Yeah. Well, and you always think like people that have these extraordinary stories are like the most unassuming ones. So,
Yeah, it's crazy. But actually, to kind of segue into something else that I just wanted to touch on really quick, was actually that picture that I sent you earlier, and this will be like a very quick rundown. But there was this astronaut in the 1960s, a Russian astronaut, Vladimir Komarov, and basically they were going to shoot, they were going to launch a shuttle into space. He was the guy that was selected to do it, and his best friend was supposed to be the backup. And when they had gone through like a preliminary check, they found like 200 structural issues and defects in just everything on the shuttle. And they kind of made him aware of these, but they needed, just the Soviets needed a win. They needed to get this shuttle into space. You know what I mean? I think he was going to be I don't know if he was the first Soviet that was going to be in space or whatever it was, but so after they had found like all of these defects, he's kind of like having second thoughts, and his whole thing was like, man, like this, I'm going to die. Like if I go in this thing, I'm going to die. And he had talked to one of the other guys that was involved in the program, and he was like, why don't you just back out? And Komarov said, because if I back out, it goes to my backup, which is my best friend, and I can't do that to him. So, I'm just going to go through with this. So I guess one of the things that he had said was, I want to have an open casket, because if I die, I want the people that put me up there to see what this is going to be like, see what they did. So the day comes for them to launch, and essentially right after the launch, they started having problems. But he ends up getting through the atmosphere into space, and by this point he had like so many problems that they were like, you know what, just cancel it. I know you're up there, but just bring it back home. It's too risky. There's too much stuff going on. So he ends up circling the planet like 18 times because he can't actually, whatever is wrong with the shuttle, it won't actually allow him to control enough to get back into the atmosphere. So he's tried like 18 different times to do this, and he's just kind of telling him like, hey, this is kind of is what it is. I don't really know what's happening. And the 19th time that he tries, he's actually able to get it redirected back into the atmosphere. He enters, gets back into, he's essentially back in Earth now, I guess would be the way to say it. So as he's coming back down, he tries to deploy his parachute, and it's tangled up in everything, and he doesn't have a backup chute, so he ends up crashing and obviously killing him. He dies, and he was the first person to die from space, I believe, is actually how it happened. But they declared it death from parachute failure. But the final fuck you was that he wanted an open casket. And that picture that I had you check out, John, I don't know if you put that up or not, is basically all that was left of him is just charred remains. I think they said the only thing they found intact was like a chipped heel bone.
Wow.
But yeah, they just needed that win so bad that they just went, well, you got to get up there. We need to be in space, and knowing that everything was wrong. And then the dude ended up dying, and he pretty much knew he was going to die. And while he was up in space, they had him talking to his wife and just, doing their final goodbyes, telling him, this is what I want you to do with the kids. Just essentially like his last wishes, It's just
What
sad.
year was this?
67.
Okay.
Had Alan Shepard gone up yet? Because was this before? Obviously, it's after Gagarin, but I'm just curious if this was before Shepard. Well, yeah, no, it had to have been because 69 we went to the moon.
What about Glenn? He went up in the early 60s, right?
Yeah, but Alan Shepard was the first American in space, 1961. So this is far after Alan Shepard. So, yeah, Alan Shepard was the first American in space. I think John Glenn was the second.
Oh, was he second? Okay.
Yeah. He was the second person, first American. So, I actually went and toured that launch pad where he took off from when I was down in Cape Kennedy, down in Florida. It was pretty cool. So, but yeah.
What's the name? What's that? I didn't see that photo go up. What's the name, Buddha? What's his name again?
Komarov. Komarov.
Okay. I just wanted to.
I didn't throw it up there because, again, I'm not sure what YouTube's going to pull and what it's not going to pull, especially when it comes to stuff like this. But
it's not really graphic, but it just looks like a mangled mess.
Yeah, well, it looks like a piece of not charcoal, but like.
Yeah, it looks like charcoal.
That or like coral reef or something like that.
Yeah, it doesn't even look human. It doesn't look human. You can't even make out what that is.
But
wow.
Yeah. No. Well, I thought this was pretty interesting night. A bunch of weird headlines, funny, some weird, some strange. It's a car conspiracy and financial conspiracy and whatever else you got there. And then a couple of interesting stories from Buddha. So, you guys got anything else you want to close out with for the week?
I think I'm good.
No, I think we pretty much covered it.
Nice. Well, I think I'm going to close it out here from. Right now, still tentatively, we're going with 8 o'clock on Thursday nights. I know it gets a little darker, or it gets darker a little later than normal over the summer, but we'll stay with 8 o'clock for right now and kind of play it by ear as it goes. Again, don't have too many people popping in live, more people on the replays. So if you know anybody that would find this interesting, funny, or entertaining, definitely pass it on. I would also say too, looking to try to get more of a way of getting the audience participation up. I should have a phone number to call in when we do these within the next couple weeks. So, but for Dan Rady, Steve Gibson, and everyone else that's participated in the T3TV. This is John Brzezinski for The Mistake on the Lake. Over and out.